What is happening? Like, hard talk right now. What is happening? President Trump's property is raided by the FBI because, and we can't find out really why. Oh wait, it's still Orange Man bad. And Elizabeth Warren may have a banana in her pants. Let me explain. You wake up every morning and you wonder, what will today hold? In the world right now, I'm not putting anything past anyone for anything because the raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago was simply insane in the membrane. And I have a lot of questions to ask.
The FBI has executed a search warrant at the home of former President Trump. Trump confirming the news in a statement saying Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida was, quote, under siege by a large group of agents, and adding the raid was unannounced.
It was an unprecedented action that needs to be supported by unprecedented justification.
That property receipt lists the items taken from the site. The former president, Donald Trump, overnight saying he would not oppose releasing the documents. In fact, his legal team had the documents in hand, it's believed, since earlier this week and could have released them themselves. Again,
faithful adherence to the rule of law is the bedrock principle of the Justice Department and of our democracy.
And with that news a week ago, the public was immediately thrust back into the drama that is Donald Trump versus the media and the institutions. I didn't see it coming.
Oh my God! Wow!
Wow. So Trump's property is raided, documents are taken, and the affidavit really explaining why the raid took place was not released. So no one really knows what is happening. For over a week, the news was all hot and bothered with speculation over this and that, and some answers may be given. But not until August 18th, when U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart has determined an in-person hearing pertaining to the unsealing of the FBI records about the raid will be had. For his part, Trump has said to release the material and that there was nothing needing to be seized in such a manner.
Trump himself is pushing back on a Washington Post report that says classified documents relating to nuclear weapons were among the items that FBI agents were looking for. There was nothing that we saw in the seized property list to indicate that level of specificity there.
But as for the present administration, they are simply keeping their mouths shut.
I cannot speak to that. It would be inappropriate for me to speak on that because the president has been very clear and unequivocal about this, is that when it comes to law enforcement matters, investigation, the Department of Justice has complete independence. And he has said that during his campaign. He has said that as president, we do not interfere. We do not get briefed. We do not get involved.
And then the White House said that President Biden didn't even know the raid was going to happen. Yeah, that won't surprise anyone. Joe has more than a few troubles these days with remembering how things work. If you watch that in real time, it took quite a bit of time. So anyway, kudos goes out to those young Marines for keeping straight faces. It was probably their toughest challenge of the day. That is until they try to keep a straight face during this next clip, because it's time that we hear from the one who cannot, will not inhale, and that brings us to... Where in the world is Kama-Lama-Lama Ding Dong? You know Ding Dong had to get in a few words. Words that, of course, don't provide anything substantial, but she blathered nonetheless.
Well, as a former prosecutor, I will tell you, I don't speak about anybody else's case. But I have full confidence that the Department of Justice will do what the facts and the law requires. I will say, as a former prosecutor, but as a citizen of our nation, any attacks on law enforcement are completely unacceptable, and any so-called leader who engages in rhetoric that in any way suggests that law enforcement should be exposed to that kind of danger is irresponsible and can result in dangerous activities.
Huh. Interesting. She's still part of the administration that is supposed to not be commenting on the raid because it would be inappropriate. Kind of like sleeping your way to the top. But enough on Harris's resume. Let's finally get to the question of the day. Who is actually helping this country? Because those in political power right now are saying they are helping the country, and then they aren't. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and then please share the video because I'm sure the social media dictators will do their dictatorial duties to make sure this specific video doesn't see the light of day. Now back to the raid that was. I have to send out a kudos to a journalist for doing some journalism. We have a CBS reporter being an actual reporter. Catherine Herridge showed on Twitter a visual of a memo that President Trump issued on January 19, 2021, right before he left office, that explained the declassification of certain materials related to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation. You know Crossfire Hurricane, that waste of taxpayer money investigation that involved Russian collusion in the 2016 presidential race between Trump and the one who has connections to people who mysteriously die, a la Jeffrey Epstein. That investigation. Herridge raised the point in her tweet that the memo and action taken may be relevant once full holdings from the raid at Mar-a-Lago are cataloged. And when will that be? Is there anything happening in the near future that could potentially determine when information will be released? Like in November? Anything?
Bueller.
The midterms are but a hot second away, and the Democrats are beyond desperate at this point, thanks in part to their living in crazy towns. I mean, look at what one of their great leaders is saying right now.
How can they vote against the planet? Mother Earth. Mother Earth gets angry from time to time, and this legislation will help us address all of that.
Yes, they, also known as us sane individuals, are not in favor of the ridiculous amount of money basically in exchange for votes. That's their hope, Mother Gaia style. Since the announcement of the raid, it's been back and forth of live coverage of everything happening, which sounds like a pretty distracting tactic, if you ask me. And since the raid, Dana Milbank of the Washington Post believes that Democrats should be rejoicing because they just gained 0.5 percentage points for the upcoming midterm elections. Meanwhile, Trump claims the raid may in fact benefit the Republican Party by winning many additional seats in the House and Senate. The news is, of course, picking up on that note from Trump, but sort of ignoring the fact that Trump also said other important information, like information that everyone would benefit from hearing and implementing. Trump said that in this country right now, the temperature has to be brought down, and the country is in a very dangerous position. He also said about the Justice Department that if there is anything we can do to help, I and my people would certainly be willing to do that. Will anyone listen to his actual words right there? You got me. Who really knows what's going to happen? We do know that the raid and all of its coverage has been a giant distraction for everything else that has gone on. So let's recap that now. Beginning with the IRS about to receive $80 billion thanks to the passage of the $737 billion Inflation Reduction Act, which does nothing it is named for and is all about climate and healthcare related items. And then, again, there's the IRS being thrown in there with a whopping 87,000 agents planning to be hired. Because it all makes sense in how Congress writes bills these days. Where's the kitchen sink? Is that in the bill too? The actual question is, will the IRS use the 87,000 of its plan to be hired and replaced agents to audit those of us in the middle class? Well, Snopes got to the bottom of that possibility. Snopes did its usual defense of anything on the left, giving a false rating to the claim that the IRS agents will come after and audit middle-class Americans. Then it gave the context as this claim misrepresents a 2021 U.S. Treasury Department report estimating that around $80 billion in funding would allow the IRS to incrementally hire nearly 87,000 employees by the year 2031. Most of those hires would be replacements for workers retiring from existing positions, including not only IRS enforcement agents, but also customer service and technology specialists. According to the Treasury Department, audit rates for those earning less than $400,000 in actual income will not rise. Thanks, Snopes. I knew I could count on you. Okay, so no, all 87,000 agents may not be used to audit and go after, if you will, us in the middle class. But to say not even 1 or 1,000 or 10,000 of those agents wouldn't be used, that begs the question, what are all these agents going to do? Oh, that's right. According to the Senate Democrats' plan, the IRS tax enforcement will cost but $124 billion. But again, not you middle class, according to the Snopes investigation. Sounds a little bit off to me. Either way, it's pure bureaucratic nonsense and a waste of taxpayer money. No shocker there.
I am shooketh.
Continuing in this thread, why does the IRS need 87,000 agents? And also, why do they need to carry firearms and be prepared to use deadly force? That's coming from a recent hiring posting by the IRS. Yes, the IRS is hiring special agents now, and for some reason, the job posting is talking about the use of deadly force. All right, well, if the IRS, the, Internal Revenue Service, is hiring special agents, and those special agents are trained law enforcement, then it makes sense for them to have weapons. Though the willingness to use deadly force when we are talking about tax evasion is another level, Al Capone style. Here's the real question. If this has always been part of the job requirement for special agents of the IRS, then why, all of a sudden, did the IRS just now remove the carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary line from the major duties of the job? Speaking of major duties of the job, do you know, is it actually a major duty of the president to have a penis? Yes, you heard me correctly. My life has come to this. I am now having to Google Elizabeth Warren penis as part of my job. And everyone on the left got their undies in a bunch, and who knows what's in those undies, over a joke that Texas Senator Ted Cruz said in Nevada at a campaign event.
We need courage. We need courage responding to crazy chat. I don't know if you saw this week. Elizabeth Warren told reporters that a guy came up to her and said, "I would have voted for you if only you had a penis." Now let me say two things about that. Number one, that story is a lie. Produce this fictional person, because this human being does not exist. That is not even 1/1024th true. But number two, in today's Democrat Party, how do we know she doesn't?
He's not wrong. Whether or not Elizabeth has a hot dog, not a chow chow, in her pants is only being asked because we don't even know what a woman is. We keep being told women's rights this and women's rights that, and then we are told that men who aren't good enough to compete against men are just fine competing against women because they believe they are a cat or a pineapple. That's the insanity of today's left.
Can y'all hear me? Is this on?
Oh, it's on, but ain't nobody home. And that's where we will end today. Back with the Bidens. I regret to inform you that the greatest doctor of all the doctors in all the land, named Dr. J, who didn't play basketball, got it. She got the vid. Dr. Jill Biden has COVID. What will the world do now? I guess this means that Joe will head on back to Delaware, since that's what Jill did when he got the vid. She abandoned her husband and left that poor dog Commander in charge, as if we didn't already know that he was the one in charge. And I'm still asking the question, where is Peta for that poor dog? He's now been exposed for weeks to the vid, and yet no mask for him. Well, with it being so close to school starting, this is definitely not the ideal situation for the great doctor. I guess it is ideal for those students, though. I told you at the beginning, and I say it again, insane in the membrane. That's just the state of affairs here in the good old US of A. It's truly insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. Please expose the loco we are enduring by sharing this video with your friends and family. And don't forget to give your F's: faith, family, and friends. Until next time, stay healthy, America.